And welcome back to Growing with Mags. I thought this afternoon I would show you how to make a hanging basket. I'm going to make 3 for the front of my house. It's quite shady on the front of our house, so I'm going to use plants that will cope with the shade. So these are 14-inch baskets. I've got some compost, and in the compost I've got some slow release fertilizer, and I'm going to add some swell gel or whatever they call it nowadays to the bottom of the compost as well, just to make sure you keep it a bit wetter. So I'm going to line the basket with moss. Now if you can't get moss, it's not the end of the world. You can use you can use things like the inside of a compost bag, or you can buy a proprietary liner. The only thing with the liners, if you buy them, is very often you have to cut your own holes in the sides, and it just makes it a bit sort of uneven and a bit tricky. So I put a layer of moss in the bottom, and then I've just cut a circle out of an old compost bag, and I'm putting that in. It kind of acts like a saucer, so I'm not putting any holes or anything in that, because hanging baskets are renowned for drying out, so that should help to retain some of the liquid. So put a layer of compost in the bottom and move it around to the edges, and then I'm going to put a little bit of this stuff in. It's most peculiar, so if you wet it up first, that's the way to go. Don't put too much in. Now it's stuck all over my fingers. And I'm going to put a bit more compost over the top of it, because I'm not sure I want it to come into contact with the actual roots of the plants. So for the first layer, as my little fork, I use trailing lobelia. So we're going to pull out, these have been growing now for a few months in the greenhouse. Not a few months, they've been growing for about a few weeks. So this is trailing lobelia, and I can't remember what colour it was. Oh, it's mixed trailing lobelia. So I'm going to put 5 pieces around the bottom. Okay, 1, 2. Now the thing with lobelia is it does tend to come into flower nice and early, and then it goes out of flower quite early, so it can look a bit scruffy around the basket. But what we do when it's finished flowering is just simply take a pair of scissors and go all the way around the bottom of the basket and cut off the dead, the ones that are flowered, and just leave a little tiny bit, and it will flower again. So it's worth knowing, and it just tidies up the whole basket. And by the time that happens, everything else will have grown around the basket, so you probably wouldn't really notice it. But do chop your lobelia back. It's a good idea to do so. So then we're going to trap. I put some compost over those lobelia roots, and now I'm going to trap them down with a bit more moss. Okay, so we can try and get that sort of around the sides. Take the grassy bits out if you can, because it will actually grow. As I say, don't despair if you can't get moss. I will show you some other methods with different things in a different video. Oops, this has got a lot of grass in it, so I'll just pull that out. Okay, so that's, as you can see, has sort of trapped those little roots, but they've got a bit of compost on them, so that they'll keep growing. Right, and then you push your compost over to the sides, and then we're going to put some trailing plants in the side. So I quite like things like this, Nepeta, or There's Helichrysum, which is a silvery leaf, and that you can get Helichrysum in gold and silver and variegated. But I quite like Nepeta because it's excellent for growing in length. Now these are actually quite big plants, so I don't know if you can see there, but I'm going to take some of the bottom off it for a start. It looks like I'm being really wickedly cruel, but right, now I'm going to make 2 plants out of that. I could probably make 3 actually, but I'll just do the 2. So I'm going to go like that on the side, from outside going in, and don't worry about that. See, look, the roots are loose. Just put a bit of compost around it, because that will root in no time, so no worries about that. If you don't have anywhere to keep your basket for a month, then don't worry, just make it at the time. Make it at the end of May, when you can pop it straight out. And then opposite to those 2, I've got this one. It's a Lysimachia, which is another nice long trailing plant with a nice yellow flower. Should put the labels out, shouldn't I, and then you can see. So again, we don't want to put all that lot in the basket at the moment because it's too bulky and we won't get the plants in the top. So I'm just going to reduce it down, and then these baskets have got quite big holes in them, so we can just force it through. Okay, so face the plant the way it's gonna fall. You know, it probably sounds obvious, but maybe not. This is another Bidens, and this one again is orangey yellow. So we've got the Nepetas that are just going to be predominantly minty green, and then we've got a bit of colour, but we also got a little bit of length as well. So I'm going to pull this off. See, these have got Osmocote in them, the slow release fertiliser, so they've been growing with that in, which is good. So they're not going to be checked. Okay, so pop that on the side there, and then in between those I'm going to stick some more lobelia in. Good use of a fork. I won't be having my dinner with that later. So there we are, we've got something now pretty well all around the sides of the basket. So now we're coming up to the top, and nearly forgot, we'll put a bit of compost over these roots, just a bit. Okay, and you can see now we're near the top. That's why I wanted to reduce these, because there'll be other plants going in the top and it'll get in the way. And then what we're doing with this now is we're making a kind of a collar. So you want to come up above the basket and make sure you go into the gaps as well. Just going to put a little bit more of this in. I'm not going to put too much in, but a little bit more. This is not so you can reduce the watering. You have to water a basket probably every day. Maybe not so much at first while it's young and it's filling out, but once it's filled out, yes, you will need to water it every day. And if it's in full sun, you'll need to water it twice a day. So this is going to keep it, it's going to keep the compost in and give a bit of shelter to the plants growing on the side. Okay, you're actually sort of building a basket. I think that's why it's easiest to do it with moss rather than you know, a compost bag or one of the proprietary liners. There we are. It's like a bird's nest. We've had in the past birds actually nesting in the baskets, especially in winter ones. They will. We've had little Jenny wrens nesting in baskets hanging out the front before now, and I've even watered them, not realizing that they were there, but they survived and, you know, fledged the little birds. So we've got to the top now. The sides are nicely filled. So I'm going to put, because it's going on the shady side of the house, I'm going to use a upright fuchsia in the middle. These little plants I bought a few weeks ago, and I've been growing them on since. And then we're going to go for two, oh sorry, I should have said, this one is Winston Churchill. So I'm not one that matches baskets, you know. Some people might like a completely red one or a completely white one or something like that, but I'm afraid I just go for it. I just go for the colours. Now this one is Southern Belle Voodoo. So this is a traily one. So we're going around the side. We're going to come around the sides now, and I'm going to point it to actually fall to the side, but not like flat. It's kind of upright, but it's going to go that way. Now I would have put actually two the same, but I've picked one I haven't got another one for it, so this one's going to be different. So this is Southern Belle. I'm going to put on the opposite side. Now with your fuchsias, I'll come back after when I've washed my hands, but if you take a look at the growing tips. Now when I've washed my hands, I'll open that up and I'll take out that little one in the middle on them all, and that will help them to bush out more. Okay, so that's a come back and do that in a minute job. Okay, and then I'm going to do two trailing geraniums, and I've got two the same here. These are only just rooting in because it's been so cold. Precision, that one. So I'm going to again look to see how it's actually going to one way. You wouldn't want to face that into the middle of your basket. You want to, you know, face it to go out, but upright as well. If you put them flat, they go, the top of your basket ends up flat then as well. So that one's going to go that way. Okay, I've not got a lot of compost in the middle. I'm going to top that up in a minute. Okay, so we're nearly there on this one. I need now two more flowering plants to put in the top, and I've got a choice of petunia, the trailing, the Saphinia. That's this one, sorry, that's actually a fuchsia I'm looking at. I've got some begonias, but I've not got them here. Or I'm going to pick this one. That's a verbena. Now, oh, I have got a, yes, sorry. There we are. I've got my sister filming me, and she is an expert basket maker. She taught me all I knew. So she just pointed out that I have got begonias. Because we're on the shady side of the house, I'm going to use the begonia. Okay, so this is a trailing begonia. I think it's the Illumination series. So I'm going to pop that gently in there. Begonias do like the warmth. It's I'm surprised these have grown quite as well as they have. But there we go. So that's two of those. Point it out. And then the other thing we can use in the other two gaps are these little fellas. Well, they're quite big fellas actually. The Impatiens, Busy Lizzies. Now, I bought these only last week in the supermarket. I don't normally like to buy things from the plants from the supermarket because I always think we should support the garden centres, but because I'd lost some of mine with the cold, I saw these and I thought, oh well, for £3 I'll buy those. So I have. There we go. So that's the top, and we can finish off now with just a little bit more lobelia. It seems like you've got an awful lot of plants here, but if you're going to do a basket, you need to do one, you know, you need to fill them. And if you put the lobelia like under the trailing geranium, it'll fluff out. I will take photographs of them as they start to grow to show you. But that'll fluff out through the fuchsia or through the trailing geranium, and it just gives the softness to the basket. And then just look in the top now and fill in any gaps, and then we'd give this a good water, and as I say, I'll pop it in the greenhouse, stand it in a pot, and then let that grow on until the end of May when we'll put them outside. So I hope that's been useful to you. Thank you very much. That's oh, they showed me the labels.
I haven't got the Nepeta one though.
Oh yeah, I don't know what I did with the Nepeta one. But there we go. So I hope that's been useful, and I'll do another one of a wall basket at some point. So thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, please give me the thumbs up and follow me on YouTube. Thank you. Bye.